Lucas, I found you. Hi guys, good night guys. Thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Dai. Hey
hey,
Lucas.
how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
I love the background.
Yeah, fortunately, I've come down to my mother and father-in-law's place, and their place is off the chain. If you've ever spoken to Damien, he'll fill you in all about it. But good internet connection down here.
That's awesome. So where about are you at the moment, Lucas? You're in Tauranga?
Yeah, Tauranga, Omokoroa is a little peninsula in Tauranga, and that's where I'm currently at. We live just up the road, up at the farm. Hey.
Uh-huh. And who is that?
This is, say your name.
Ambrose!
Ambrose.
Ambrose. Wow, what a cool name. Thank you so much, Lucas, for connecting, man. That's awesome. Yeah, being, I think
Oh,
I know about you now for a long time, and we never had the opportunity to meet in person, and I think it's a good opportunity. So how are you doing, man? So how has been, your mindset during this period we've been dealing with lately?
yeah, lockdown has been truly a blessing, actually. Like, apart from jujitsu aside, the home life, like, as I say, we've got 48 acres of land, horses, all that sort of thing. So to have, well, we've sort of been locked down for 40 odd days. So the first Tauranga case is when we chose to sort of isolate. Um, so yeah, we just had a long list. It's still a mighty long list, but just checking things off on the farm that we've got to do. So it's really been a blessing. We had this guy for 2 years just with us the whole time, and just last year he went to daycare. So what we found is he's sort of changed a little bit. So yeah, to have him around us again, we
Yeah.
feel we've got him back. So just the bonding with the family has been priceless, priceless.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. So, Lucas, let's talk a little bit about your jiu-jitsu journey.
For sure.
Yeah, so when did you start jiu-jitsu? When and why did you start, Lucas? What was your motivation and what was the reason, made you to become a black belt?
Well, the funny thing is, I was never interested in martial arts. Like, my lifestyle pre-jiu-jitsu, from teenage years onwards, was very unhealthy. A lot of not poor life decisions because they sort of shaped who I am and
Mhm.
built a character, if you will. But I was on a very unhealthy path: cigarettes, drinking, drugs, all that sort of thing. Um, so I grew up in Papamoa, which is another little town in Tauranga. Surfer town, super healthy living. And then we shifted from there to Tauranga City when I was about 13. So that changed everything from, as a kid, we used to just go down the beach and just stare at the waves. You just zone out, surfing, that whole lifestyle, what I view as very healthy. Um, and then shifting to the city, and the kids or teenagers were into different things, just hanging out. So life became sort of not as exciting as what it was previously. So just drifted into an unhealthy lifestyle. So then fast forward to when I was 21, just started looking at myself, and I wanted to better myself in some better way, shape, or form. Yeah. Uh, and then it's my lovely wife, Belinda.
Hello,
Hi.
hi.
Hey, do you want to come have some pudding? I thought so. All
Good
right, hold
man.
my hand.
Oh, man, I love that.
They're the most biggest part of my life. Like, yeah, the be all end all, if you will.
Uh,
So it was like, yeah, 21, decided to start making lifestyle changes. So I think it was about 22, 23. Yeah, it would have been 22. I was going to my friend's place, Phil, and Phil is a good friend of Kate Aroa, or Aroa, I should say. And we'd sort of hung out as teenagers, like we go back quite a long time. So Phil, I used to go around there, hang out after work, watch Dragon Ball Z, lift weights and all that sort of thing. Just, yeah, silly stuff we'd get up to. And then he was just like, bro, you should come down the gym and, you know, I'll smash you, bro. And it's just like, so that was sort of my introduction. He was a cool ass dude, still is a wicked cat, caught up with him last year. But yeah, he introduced me to it, and Kate already being involved in it made it quite an easy transition. And because I was looking for a healthier lifestyle, it just fit really well. So went there. The exposure that I got was quite hilarious. The compromising positions that you find yourself in jiu-jitsu, and then being an outsider looking in, is just like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I sort of don't like where that guy's face is and all that sort of thing. So those are just big barriers you come across and face when you enter jiu-jitsu. So yeah, he's like, nah, bro, you got to step on the mat. There were these two 15-year-old boys, like way stronger than them, way bigger, but they just smoked me like I was nothing. And I was just like, damn. And that was actually the deciding factor right then, was just, I have to learn this stuff. And then just as any good student, just turn up day in, day out, just every day, go there and develop the passion for it. But certainly prior to that, just never had any sort of motivation towards martial art in any shape or way. Like it was either just surfing, hacky sack, or, you know, those sorts of things. So yeah, and then just developed an awesome passion for it.
That's awesome. So Lucas, that already was a club, or was something really casual? Was kind of more that you know, garage jiu-jitsu style?
So at the time, Cabeção, Honey, he was training out of a judo club. Previously, he was training at another venue, and so he'd sort of got a little student base. By then, there was a few Brazilian cats that were in there, blue belts and purple belts. And yeah, so there was already a core little group happening there. I think that was 2003, I believe. Yeah.
That's awesome. Lucas, man, your background, you look like a rock star right now, man. I
Yeah,
love that, man.
this is to put it in a funny context. The wife loves Jason Momoa, or Momoa, so she likes a beard, she likes long hair. This is just sort of how I looked as a teenager, minus the beard. And always had long hair, started jiu-jitsu and just shave everything off. It's just a little more practical. But yeah, certainly ever since we got married, really. So that's seven and a half years ago, just started to let everything grow.
Man, looking awesome, looking really good. So look, so after that, so what was the next step? So you know you started, so you said you joined to Rony da Silva, and you started training more, you know, with more consistency. So how was the journey towards your black belt?
It was a lot of ups and downs. My first, you could say my first 2 years were quite traumatic. So I had been doing it roughly 2.5 months, and then they're like, bro, you should go in a competition. So I was just like, oh, okay. I've never been one for limelight or anything. Like any of my students will tell you, like I'm very reserved. Like once you get me talking, I can talk till the cows come home. But yeah, generally just a quiet person, not really been much into that. So went to my first competition, come up against Phil, the guy who had got me into it. So it was an open division. I knew I was gone, like I just knew it. So he, at the same time, he's walking on the mat, and in his head, he's like, right, I'm going to try something crazy. So he tries this flying arm lock on me. I step back, my legs fully extended, all his weight land on it. My toes literally touch my shoulder. Instead of the ligament, the ACL or anything like that breaking, it actually pried my bone and split it lengthways, sort of down this way. So that was my first competition experience. I think I got DQ'd in my first match for stacking or something like that. Like it was real rough. Like I wasn't good by any means. So just a massive swollen leg into a brace type thing for 9 months on crutches, super slow rehabilitation. And yeah, literally 9 months, I got a different brace that allowed a little movement and so on and so on. 13 months later, was able to sort of squat, like jiu-jitsu squat, flat foot, butt on the mat sort of thing. And that's when I knew I was able to come back. At that time, I'm sure Ronnie didn't even remember me. Like I walked back in and just got back into it. And then what I quickly found was the more I trained, the more consistent I was, other people weren't. So the people that, you know, we're talking a year and a half, I stopped getting tapped out, all that sort of thing, did a few more competitions and it really built the confidence. And then, yeah, it sort of trickles down into your life and just able to talk to people, like actually talk to them, look at them in the eye and feel more confident in myself, proud of who I am, all that sort of thing. So yeah, just competed heaps. And yeah, just sort of got to know people on the circuit. Dudes like Alex Scott, Dan Digby.
Yeah,
all
man.
those
You had really nice battles with those guys, you know, with Alex, with Dan Digby, you know. Yeah, man.
I'd say they had some really good battles with me, and not so much I had good battles with them. They're just, yeah, they were great guys to compete against. Like I don't think I ever bet them, like, but I did well enough to like place it, you know, regularly at comps and stuff like that. And yeah, just become really good friends with Cabasson, like over the years. He's the best man at my wedding, vice versa. Yeah, so it sort of enveloped my whole life. Very dedicated to jiu-jitsu back then. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what was your mindset during the recovery? So how did you manage to bounce back and you know and say, okay, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna train again? Because most of people, you know, even for less than that, you know, we know quit jiu-jitsu. You know, so what was your mindset? How did you cultivate that strong mindset to coming back to training?
I'm extremely pig-headed. Like once I set my mind to something, that's it. Like I have to see it through. It's almost like an OCD condition. Like I realized this when I got my blue belt, or my first stripe actually. I was just like, well, now I need all the stripes. Like it's literally as simple as that. I got my blue belt and then I was just like, man, I sort of knew the length of time you're talking about to get to achieve the, you know, faixa preta. So it was like, oh man, so I'm in it for the long haul. Like my mind just won't allow me to not do that. So that was one deciding factor. But yeah, before then with the accident, yeah, I just had already caught that bug. And as I say, it was 9 months, so it's just 9 months of YouTube videos and just like keep on generating that bug.
That's awesome. That's cool. And then from now, and when did you become an instructor? So when you became you know, a teacher and started coaching class.
Sorry, Benson.
That's
Be quiet, son. You want to? Can you go get mum? Go get mum. Man, he's going through a penis phase. Just like it's crazy. Son. Come on now. Sorry. I have to ask you to repeat the question.
Yeah. So from them, how did you become an instructor? So when does this happen in your life? to run
So
classes?
yeah, so it would have been, what year was that? Man, 2011, somewhere around there, just before I got married. Ronnie had to leave town. Like his life was going in a different direction. So one of my students, Scott, brown belt now, I think he might have only been blue belt at the time. I just got my black belt, and he was just like, "So what are you going to do?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean? What am I going to do? I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to work out at the farm like I always do. Hang the belt up on the shelf, and just that's what I achieved in my 20s. It was literally as simple as that." And he's like, "Nah, bro, you got to do something." So it's by then I'd sort of already helped Ronnie teaching classes, all that, teacher's aide for many years. So I sort of slipped into that role pretty easy. And then yeah, just started my own venture, and that sort of lasted 2 years. Bit of financial debt, just didn't do things properly, you could say. It was just sort of hit and miss. Yeah, get some mats, hire this venue, and it just didn't work out. But by then I'd already sort of kept the club alive in Tauranga, well, the ones that were training with Ronnie, all that sort of thing. And gave me a little student base. And then Scott, the guy that I currently work for, approached me. He's like, "Look, Martial Arts Academy, the instructor we've had has left. Would you like to fill that position?" Literally the day I was shutting my door. So I'm sort of a bit down, what am I going to do? The wife's like, "Man, really, you want to beat this dead horse?" And it's like, yeah. So just sort of started to change my mindset at that point. Like, well, maybe my life should take a turn and start focusing on home a bit more, the farm, all that sort of thing. So Scott gave me a ring, and I'm just like, "Bro, this is so funny." Like, I'm literally shutting the roller door. It was as I was walking out, and he's like, "Would you like a position with us?" And I'm just like, well, did a meet and greet, and yeah, it just resonated. It felt right, and that's sort of how I've lived my whole life anyway. Like, as a kid, people were asking you, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm a kid. I don't know. Whatever will happen." And that's how I've lived my life. And yeah, it's when I listen to that intuition and my true spiritual path, if you will, like it's never gone wrong. Every time I've chosen not to listen to that, yeah, I paid the price. But yeah, it was as simple as that. And then shifted with Scott, and for the past sort of 6-7 years. Crack up, guy, man. Crack up. Never
That's
a dull
awesome.
moment.
Hey, Lucas, how
And
long
yeah,
it took for you to get your black belt? How many years?
9, I think. Yeah, 9 years. I was training full time. Yeah, just any class I could get, I'd do, and just competing. Yeah, in each level that I went to, like, I never aced and mastered everything, and was gold winner all the time, but yeah, did well enough, obviously, to prove myself worthy. Yeah, and it's just sort of snowballed on from there.
That's awesome. Yeah, last night I had a live with Lemos, and she was talking a little bit about, when you guys met, with Damon and Clark. So can you tell a little bit about this? Because now you're under Clark Graice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was sort of just looking for a bit more. And yeah, as I say, just everything resonated and felt right. And Ellie sort of came into my life, and you've met her. She is like the sun. Like, she's just a ray of light. She just so happy. So she gets very passionate about things. So yeah, she was like, "Well, and I've always loved Damien, loved Damien, from the early days. Like, always respected him, and that just goes back a long time. Throughout the years, just going down the Hawke's Bay. Back then, they'd have sport jiu-jitsu competitions, so they weren't like the jiu-jitsu comps nowadays. They were sort of a mixed bag, like people from different martial arts. If they called themselves grapplers, they'd go in there. So yeah, those sort of humble early beginnings is where I sort of met Damien and built a rapport there. And then when Ellie mentioned Damien had already aligned with Clark, and she just said, "Hey, would you like to come meet Clark?" So yeah, went to Vegas, Rotorua, and had a role. And by then, he knows Ellie very well, and sort of got the tick of approval, I guess. And never looked back. Like it's been just one of those things. Yeah, as I say, it just felt right at the time, and I feel I made a good decision for the club, for myself. Certainly, yeah. For me personally, it's just that thirst of knowledge. Like I just wanted more, and man, when a blessing like that falls in your lap, you're foolish not to take it. And yeah, so it just felt right.
That's awesome. How was the train with Clark?
Man, it's like you're a white belt again. It's like literally, yeah, certainly rolling with him. It's like, man, what can you do? It's crazy. But yeah, just the knowledge again, it just sort of makes you feel, that humbles you big time. Like he's such a cool cat, super relaxed, super chill. And that's actually one of the driving forces and why I chose to stick at jiu-jitsu, is just Honi at the time, super laid back, chilled. I'm sure if I went into a situation where it was regiment, like, don't talk to me, I just would have been like, this ain't me. But my whole journey's just been chilled. Like, it's been really good in that respect. So to have another mentor come into my life that complements that as well, like again, it just resonated, and I really feel it was for the best.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And Lucas, tell me a little bit about your way of teaching. So what's a class with you looks like?
So a good solid warm-up. Anybody who's trained there will tell you that. Ellie sort of incorporated a lot of movement into the classes, so a lot of that. But it's sort of, warm-up, takedowns, self-defense, sort of really big on the self-defense aspect. Just with some of the things, some people may get a false sense of security within their jiu-jitsu, like I'll pull guard or just make decisions because they know they're really good on the ground, but there's some decisions that you shouldn't really go to the ground if you don't have to in that sort of self-defense manner. So I really like the self-defense aspect where you can sort of diffuse a situation without actually, well, it is using jiu-jitsu, but without having to go to the ground. So yeah, takedowns, self-defense, bit of position, and just lots of sparring. Like over the years, I feel that's what enabled me to compete. Just that simulation of battle all the time. So a lot of sparring.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Lucas, do you stick to one subject or one technique for a long period of time, or you like to kind of go with the flow? So every class you touch in a different subject. So how's your mindset?
I sort of was rather regimented, like, all right, we go from guard and then, okay, guy on the back. Now the next week or the week after, a couple of weeks, switch roles. So now you're the guy in the guard, and just sort of work my way through that, pass, side control, and then flip back to the guy underneath who's dealing with that, and just sort of try incrementally work like a role, if you will, but just sort of broken down and what you can do here, what you can't do there. Although I don't like to say you can't do anything, because there's always exceptions to the rule. People do freaky stuff and it's just like, wow, I got told never to do that, but you're pulling it off, so just own it, brother. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's super cool. What changes have you seen now, Lucas, in your BJJ journey in Jiu-Jitsu? What changes have you seen and I do you study much other people's styles? Do you follow much what's going on the BJJ scene?
Yeah, that's a very good question because I'm this weirdo black belt that like I watch stuff. I get uh what would you call it, positions and stuff like that, and like I follow Clark obviously, and he has a curriculum, all that sort of thing as well. But yeah, like as far as jiu-jitsu, I walk inside the gym, the dojo, that's sort of when I click into jiu-jitsu. And sort of outside of that, it's not like it's really weird. Like so I do look at stuff like get the odd student like generally sort of blues and purples. They're just so thirsty. Bro, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Bro, come on, you got to see this. And so
Yeah,
they show you things that I've never seen before. So it's just like, oh wow, and that sort of leads you on a path of looking into it and following that guy and all that sort of thing. But yeah, as far as like following people, not really. Like yeah, I'm just this weird guy that just yeah, it's jujitsu time over here, family time here. I'm very structured in that in my life. Like I sort of have to be. I suppose I've adapted that style just from how loose I was as a teenager and the path I was on. So a way to, I mean, I'd never go back there, but a way to ensure that I stay focused in all aspects of my life. I find that that structure really helps big time.
that's awesome. That's super cool, man. So, Lucas, what you like to teach for a beginner? So, so if someone cross the door to your academy, and what's the first thing you like to teach the person? Having the first contact with BJJ.
First contact to BJJ, generally it's some form of takedown, maybe an assault guard, something like that, something real simple. Um, and sort of get them on top, like on top of someone. I find, or what I've found is, yeah, putting someone on their back and having someone heavy pressure breathing on you, it can be totally intimidating. So I sort of gauge a new student by, or a potential student, I suppose they're not students until they come back the second time.
Mhm.
But yeah, just to get them comfortable just in the environment itself, like getting used to sweaty, heavy breathing dudes. Like it can be quite intimidating. I know the feeling like when I went and I was just far out, this is unreal. Yeah, get them used to Alavanca, all that sort of thing, and just a Kimura pretty much, like and just add on from there, hip, bridge escape, all that sort of stuff as they come back. But I feel, or what I've found is just sticking to a basic, trip on the ground, knee on the belly, full mount, use a bit of leverage, Alavanca, Kimura, Americana. It just sort of, they leave feeling, oh, I could do this. It's quite, it's not until they get flipped over and they really got to start, dealing with the gravity and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you go find that? Good boy. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Lucas, in which stage do you, or even someone wrote here teaching white belts heel hooks?
Yeah, yeah, that's in my classes personally. Waist down, you got to be a colored belt. Like so heel hooks, like being a guy who works physically out on a farm, and everybody needs their body to work. So it's not that I don't trust white belts. It's they just haven't learned that application of pressure. Yeah, the actual dynamics of the anatomy, all that sort of thing. Like, I believe that takes a bit of time. You got some sharp cats that'll just walk through the door and it's all natural to them. But yeah, I have a strict policy. Waist down is, yeah, blue and up, and even then it's just sort of straight footlocks. And by then they've been had it slapped on them a million times. They sort of know how to escape it. They've learnt it in class through technique, position time, all that sort of thing. So I don't allow, yeah, the waist down for white belts. As far as heel hooks go, I sort of leave that to my 2IC, Nate, my black belt and black belt under Clark as well. He's a bit more free with that sort of thing. So I'm like, man, you want to learn the heel hook stuff, go see Nate. He's all about it. I sort of have this weird thing where I don't like feet. Like, it's, man, you put a foot near my face and I'm not freaking out. Like, jiu-jitsu's taught me how to deal with that. But I really don't like it. Like, it's not a preference. So to be fiddling with someone's foot is certainly not a preference of mine. But, you know, if you get a gift, you got to take it. So, yeah, there's that. But certainly, yeah, I have all the white belts will tell you from my academy, they're just, he never lets us do anything, like none of the cool stuff. And it's like, well, you got to prove to me you're safe. Like, it's all about safety.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Hey, look, so you're. I remember, seeing you, fighting. You're really good with triangles. It's something. Of course, you still enjoy. You still sharpen up your triangles.
Yeah, triangles. Like, second I stumbled across it, like, got shown it, I was just like, man, this is me. And
you're quite tall as well. No, you have long legs as well. What's helped?
Yeah. So that game really adapted, which is quite funny because Cabasson, he's like, I spent a solid 9-10 years with him, probably 12 actually. Like, I got my first degree under him too. So it's a long time. And he's a complete opposite of my body style. But, he could slap a triangle on as easy as I could. Like, so just that principle of angle and all that sort of thing. But yeah, triangle, the second I seen it, I was just like, I think it might have been just a flashback from Mel Brooks' movie. Can't remember the movie. I think it was Mel Brooks, pretty sure. But he slaps a triangle on. I've forgotten the movie. It's crazy. But ever since then, I was just like, that's that move. Oh my God. And just, I love that submission. I love how you can sort of see what's going on. And it's relatively safe. Like, I prefer guard. So do I prefer guard? I find guard more natural. I'll put it that way. So, aborting a triangle isn't really a big deal. It's, it's not so risky because you can always sort of recover a little bit. But it wasn't until Damien and Clark were sort of just like, man, you don't spend your whole life getting stacked in triangles. And it's just like, well, that's sort of true. I don't want to be stacked my whole life in triangles. I'm only going to get older and more frail. So that, yeah, I'm starting to really work and it could be just the bias of being under, the omoplata man. Like, his omoplatas are just, man, bang on. They're just priceless. And it's showing me, it's just one of those new ray of lights that come in and it's just like, wow, all right, yeah. So I can just easily transition from that to that. And yeah, what you can do with the triangle just links onto the omoplata. So it's just, I love that aspect of it. And then their weight's not even on you. They're off to the side. And it's, I think that's where I'm slowly starting to develop in that sense.
That's awesome. And Lucas, who has been your inspiration in Jiu-Jitsu during this time? Do you have someone specific or who has inspired you?
There's been a few people that have inspired Ali of recent years, just with her bubbliness and her passion towards jiu-jitsu really, really sparked a new sort of breath into jiu-jitsu for me. So there's definitely her. Just guys like Alex Scott, Dan Digby, because as I say, I've never really sat online and watched world championships and all that sort of thing. Like, it's just something, being out on farm, I just don't have the time to do that. Certainly with the son now, it's almost non-existent. So yeah, it's sort of been the people in my journey that have inspired me. And yeah, just the students that come in through the door, you know, they look up to you, and it's just like, man, I'm just a regular dude from Tauranga. Like, that's all I am. As I say, like, I was gonna hang that black belt up on the shelf. That's what I achieved. So yeah, to have those people look up to me sort of inspires me as well to do better for myself, better for them, and yeah, it's sort of just a big self fulfilling ball that's just rolling down the hill. It's just, yeah, continues that momentum.
That's awesome, and that's super cool. I love that. So Lucas, do you have any routine outside of the mats to make your jiu-jitsu, to keep your jiu-jitsu sharp and make your jiu-jitsu better? I mean, any routine for the physical and for the mental side as well?
Probably nothing has been more prevalent than this lockdown. Like, when you talk candidly with Ali, oh man, he's pretty lazy. He's a pretty lazy guy. That's like, I sort of am. Like, she came out, we were changing a structure and how the academy was being run, because we're a martial arts academy, so there's other martial arts and stuff like that. So you got to keep the punters happy as well as the instructors, the students that are already there. So she came out and she's like giving me these exercises, and man, really, I got to do this. Like, it's just easier if I go to the gym and just, you know, do it at the academy. So yeah, I sort of do movement, just a real typical sort of hopping around and bear crawling, all that sort of breaking hips, just your sort of standard stuff. Core exercises, I found a few apps that have really helped big time, actually, certainly during this lockdown. And I've developed a routine in the lockdown, which I could imagine, just with the mindset that I have, that it's just now a fixed feature of my day. So I just wake up 6:30, just start to get into it. Whereas sort of years prior, certainly not. I could easily sleep until 8, 8:30, 10 if I could have the chance. You don't get that with the kid, but yeah.
Cool, man. That's awesome. And so, how big is your academy now, Lucas? How many people do you have training under you?
Total numbers. There's usually, it's sort of really buttoned off towards, you know, getting towards the lockdown. It was quite disheartening. Turn up and man, it was yeah, very disheartening. But in general, there'd be roughly 25 to 30 in an average class, in a good class. Those classes have sort of been split as well for a novice class. I've delegated that, or Nate, I shouldn't say delegate. I handed over responsibility for a lot of the classes to my 2ICs, so I was able to spend more time raising my son. That change happened at the beginning of last year. So my training myself has buttoned off to sort of a couple of times a week. So I teach some more advanced classes. But yeah, numbers are pretty big. I think there's, including kids and all that, is 100, maybe 200. Like, that could be a bit of an overexaggeration. Yeah, 150, somewhere around there, 80 adults. Yeah, I had a printout of all the things with their numbers so I could, you know, harass them if they don't come to training.
And how many black belts, Lucas? It's you. Who else?
Me and Nathan Souter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so we've got
super.
one brown belt. I don't want to get this wrong. I don't want to miss anybody. They'll be very upset. Yeah, got a small army of purples and blues. Like, I've gotten quite large, and the white belts, I sort of gauge a success of a club by the actual white belts, not so much the core students that sort of just hammer it out and stick it out throughout the years. Like, you know, once you've got that bug, you've got it. But sort of the white belts, if you can get those white belts, you know, constant and consistently coming in and sticking, then that's, you know, a really good sign. So yeah, if the white belt line is longer than the blue, I'm like, all right. And if the blue's longer than the purple, and so on and so on. Of course, you want all black belts and stuff like that, but we're still in that real juvenile sort of stage. Like, you know, Nate being the first black belt, and then there's brown belt Scott. Man, I hope there's not another brown belt. That is not good. That is not good. But yeah, so it's good. Good numbers.
That's awesome. And Lucas, what do you think? You know, we have this, you know, as an instructor, we kind of, you know, we see the person, and most of the time we kind of, you know, from the first contact, because we learn lots about people, you know, when, you know, being, you know, in front of a run academy, you know, and we sometimes we get quite right, you know, just by shake someone's hand, you know. So what's your opinion about why the majority of people quit as a blue belt? Is that a fact you notice as well in your academy, or
Yep.
do you notice that as well? It's kind of the same, you know, the person works quite hard, and, you know, and motivate until they get that, you know, that stage, and, you know, unfortunately the majority, they stop the journey on that level. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think could be geographically, like that may sound weird to say, but certainly in Tauranga, the wage to living cost type situation is quite minimal. Like it's expensive to live. So what I've found over the years is that comes into play. Like the big centers, city centers, sort of stay alive and get a good student base sticking, whereas Tauranga, yeah, the living wage to living costs affects it. So people spend, yeah, they've got to put their effort and time into other things. So they sort of stick it out because they want that sort of first benchmark. I've achieved something. I've got this blue belt. I'll come back to it. Some do, some don't. The guy Phil that I was talking about previously, he's a blue belt still. I'm sure if his life had chosen a different path, he would have stuck it out, but he had to go, and I'm sure he has no regrets. Like he's gone to Oz, family, wife, all that sort of thing has come his way. So yeah, it's I believe life just hands people different cards, and just I was very self-centered, sort of a narcissist, if you will. No, it's all about me. I'm going to see this through, sort of thing. So you've got those people that just must do it. They really get that bug and just see it through. But then you've got other people that could be viewed a little smarter than that, and you know, find a balance. And yeah, sometimes that balance gets tipped, and jiu-jitsu has to come second place. I thank God every day. It's like, man, living in a dream. Like everything's fallen in my lap, and I've just cruised through, just turned up. Fortunate just to have a black belt in town for that whole duration, and I was able to sort of do my whole education, if you will, just finishing work, go to training. Like some people don't have that that luxury, I suppose, of having a black belt. You know, the reliant on seminars, all that sort of thing to keep that drive going. So I'm very fortunate in that respect. So I think there's a lot of things at play that, yeah, decide whether someone sticks it out. But it's weird that it's always at the blue belt, and I have a feeling it's just that first level of achievement. Stripes sort of don't cut it, but that belt change is like, okay, like I can come back to this, but at least I've got this. So it's sort of, yeah.
Ah, yeah, interesting. And Lucas, what's the few of the most important moments on your jiu-jitsu journey?
Definitely the injury at the start, like that was quite a defining moment. That really showed me, do I even want to do something like this? But, I love the physical aspect of it. I love how you can go 100%, whereas in possibly other martial arts, you really can't because you can really, really injure someone, if not kill them. So jiu-jitsu's that rare gem where you can really exert yourself 100%, give your 100%. It takes a lot of mental capacity to just understand it. So it's super good in that respect. So overcoming that, going to the Worlds as a purple belt, like that really highlighted how, yeah, the level in which you need to compete. So I had pipe dreams just like everyone else, like, man, I'm going to be a world champion, and went there and it's just like, man, I need to do so much more to become a world champion. So that was a very defining moment. And obviously receiving your black belt and everything that comes with it, the responsibility. Like, as I said, I was going to hang it up on the shelf. That was the narcissist me, just all about me. But then it's like, man, you got this info that you can pass on. And so there was that. And that was a big defining moment as well for me. And yeah, I think those would be the major three in my journey, other than competing and overcoming all the nerves and all that sort of thing. But those would be the three major ones.
That's awesome, man. That's super cool.
Mm.
And Lucas, if you know Lucas now, black belt, with this experience, if you could go back and give advice to Lucas, white belt, which advice you'd give?
What would I give? Um, Probably find more of a balance. Like if I'd found a bit more of a balance in the early days, like I still would have ended up in the exact same situation, because I've got that mentality where I just got to see things through, and it would have made things a little bit more easier in my life and less stressful. But I sort of, would I be here and be the person I am if I hadn't gone through that? So yeah, that's a really tough question to answer. Like, I don't know what I'd say to myself. Maybe you'll be all right. You'll do all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, cool. Yeah, Lucas, now finally going to the level two, and I think today we got such a good news for all of us. We're gonna be able to open soon. So, are
Mm.
you during this time, did you have time to think about what you're doing, and with your academy and everything? Did you have any insight during this time? Any change you'd like to implement, or what? Do you make any changes during this time? You would like to?
Yeah. Yeah, I think movement, like I want to do more movement, just not being able to do that. That's definitely something I will change in my classes for sure. It's just more movement, more interaction with other students within that movement. So it's a good example. Just holding someone's legs and like a wheelbarrow, just that sort of thing, but more jujitsu based. But
Yeah.
yeah, just probably that. I've missed it. Like before, it's just complacent. Yeah, just turn up, do my thing. But yeah, to not have something, it triggers something in you, and it's yeah. Pretty keen to get back, and pretty keen to just roll. Man, I just want to roll. I've been trying to roll my 3-year-old son. Like it's like it's not the same. But yeah, I've reached that point. Like as I say, we've been isolated 46 days. My wife up at the farm, uh, and there was no training sort of 2 weeks prior to that either, because numbers had just dropped right off. So yeah, it's been a while. I've never had a drought like it. Like from the moment I've started, it's the longest I've ever gone without jiu-jitsu. So it's I'm just so keen to get back and just have a roll. So
Mhm.
that'll probably be the first 2 weeks. We're just rolling for 2 weeks. Take it easy, ease into it, but we're just rolling. Like I just want to roll. You know, you get some ideas and yeah, you just want to try them, but I suppose that's the blessing with the 3-year-old. It's like, man, can I actually do that on a normal person, a normal large size person? So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
No, that's cool. And Lucas, which type of change you'd like to see in Jiu-Jitsu in New Zealand? Or what do you think it's lacking here at the moment with Jiu-Jitsu?
Lacking.
Yeah.
I feel it's been growing consistently, and the changes that have come have all been rather beneficial towards it.
Mm.
Um, Changes, I don't even know if I have that platform to stand on to say that. Like,
Uh,
I feel things sort of go in phases. Like, this is hot right now, so everybody jumps on that, and we're doing this or lasso or whatever the case may be, whatever position it is. Um, so yeah, I think those go through phases. But I've always been adamant of just closed guard, like hammer out a closed guard before you open it up. So maybe just that. But that's something I sort of just tell the students, just exhaust your resources before you open your guard. Just don't just be so free to just, okay, and then, oh man, you got to deal with him passing. Like try get him while you got your legs closed. Like, but yeah, I believe everything just goes through phases, what's hot at the moment. And yeah, yeah, that's what I think there.
mhm. That's awesome. Well, do you guys have idea when it's gonna be the next when you guys gonna be able to do the next camp? Because I think now, you know, with the lack of people be able to travel, I think that's gonna be a
Mm.
really good opportunity for all of us, to organize a camp between us, because we can, we can go and visit each other's gym. And do you
Yeah.
think we're gonna see more of that now during this time, Lucas?
Yeah, I honestly do. I think that'd certainly for the next, well, it sort of depends who you listen to and what you're following, but I can see for the next year, like it'll be that sort of thing. Like it'll have to be a local level, local being, or national, I should say, a national type level. Because
Mm.
even though New Zealand's been proactive, you could say, some people might say not, depending on where you're following, but we've been proactive, is getting down to minimal cases, all that sort of thing. So we're doing that, but it doesn't mean Australia or America and all these places are going to do the same. They may have a pandemic that lasts a very long time. So
Mm.
yeah, you sort of lose out on in our case, Clark coming over. It was all going to happen, and literally right before lockdown is when he was meant to come over. Um, so yeah, I'd assume it would be a national level type thing, and I think just along the same common thread as this thing you're doing now, like just getting people familiar with who's actually there on a national level is an awesome thing. Like I'm truly honored to be chatting with you. Like it's yeah, I would have thought I'd last person you want to talk to. Not
No.
not in any negative thing, but there's a lot of cool cats in New Zealand. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of talent in New Zealand. There's a lot of information, even though we're sort of isolated in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Like there's good jiu-jitsu here. Like
Yeah.
people have a lot
Mm.
of good concepts, ideas. Yeah, I think it's very positive.
Yeah, no, I true believe that. I think our level here, it's really really good. We have really good talent, and my friend, you definitely it's part of this history, because jiu-jitsu is still a really young stage, and as you said, you, Alex, Dandig, and so many other guys, has been part of this, the competing and representing New
Mm.
Zealand, even you guys were the first ones as well, going overseas, and this you know Kiwi made, going overseas and represent jiu-jitsu. I think that's
Mm.
That's really cool, my friends. Really, really cool. Yeah, well, thank you so much. Our time's gonna run out. But Lucas, my friend, I really enjoy. You know, I love your background. Your background's the best one by far. I love that, man. But your message as well, man. Super, super cool. You know, really down to earth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You know, the people's gonna get so much value out of that as well. So, and this is the first of many other, you know, interactions we're gonna have from now on for sure. So yeah, thank you so much
man.
for your
For
time,
sure.
you know, my friend. All the very best for your academy, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna connect again soon.
Absolutely. Too
Cool.
much, Anderson. That's awesome, man.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for your time.
All
Talk to you soon.
right, big love to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for you guys. You know, we're following us here. We have enough you guys here. Thank you so much. You know, you guys has been really supportive with what we are doing, trying to connect with, you know, all the instructors in New Zealand, you know, as many as we can. You know, Professor Douglas there giving. Thank you so much for the support, and we're just gonna keep doing that. You know, we're gonna connect because that's us now. You know, getting together during this time, sharing knowledge. And you know, that was really inspiring to talk to you, Lucas. And yeah, my friend, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank
See
you
ya.
all. Too
Take
much,
care.
Anderson. Mean, brother.